Now on KOAM News at 5, authorities in Joplin respond to reports of an armed person at an industrial park.
Security is on high alert around Washington ahead of a rally by people who support those arrested for the January 6th insurrection. I'm Skyler Henry on Capitol Hill with a look at the beefed up measures and the ongoing investigations.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Joplin police and the SWAT team respond to an armed person at the Joplin Webb City Industrial Park. This is KOAM News at 5. Around 8:30 this morning, JPD received a call of an armed person at a former Eagle Pitcher facility at 3220 Industrial Drive. Officials say when they arrived, they found a man with a gun pointed to his head. The SWAT team and a crisis team were called in to help de-escalate the situation. Authorities say after 4 hours, the standoff ended with the man shooting himself. The situation also required working with neighboring businesses to keep everyone safe.
What we did is some of the surrounding businesses that were close, we contacted them, made contact, and asked them if they would go on lockdown procedures because of the seriousness of the incident. We evacuated some employees from the area just because of safety concerns, and so they cooperated with that, and we were able to go in and successfully contain the situation where he was.
Davis says the man never fired at officers, and officers did not fire at him. He was taken to a local hospital with life-threatening injuries. Authorities have not released his name, and the investigation into what led to the situation is still ongoing. The Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas now has a second location in Pittsburgh. The Rita J. Bicknell Family Health Center opened today, and 2 doctors from the Community Health Center will work out of the new location. Officials say the new facility was recently renovated to provide additional access and expanded services focusing on women's health.
So we have Via Christi right there. 2 of our providers that are in this office are also on-call providers over at the hospital. They deliver babies, so that makes it a lot easier for them. Also, we have access on both sides of Pittsburgh to our community.
The new facility is at 1011 Mount Carmel Place, just across the street from Ascension Via Christi Hospital. Walk-in services are available. Checking in with Nick Kelly for a first look at the weather.
We had a good evening so far. Dow to start things out, and a pretty good day overall too. At least it looked nice with plenty of open blue skies from 7th and Range Line, and certainly nothing to track on the radar. That being said, while we're going to keep this quiet as we go through the rest of the evening and nighttime ahead of us, I am watching our next storm system gaining steam off to our north and west. That's going to try and shake things up once we get into the middle of the week. In the meantime, temperatures, yeah, they were up there again. Most of us in the lower 90s today, but we kept the humidity low, thankfully. Most of us right now, though, in the upper 80s to lower 90s. It's going to be another drop off. Eventually, we will see temperatures turn mild once we get past 76 at midnight. I'm thinking Dow overnight lows around 71 degrees, and we're going to trend a little cooler at least for the next few days thanks to rain chances on the way. We'll break down the forecast here in a bit.
See you then. Nearly 2 weeks after the U.S. completed its military mission in Afghanistan, the nation's top diplomat, Secretary of State Antony Blinken, testified before the House Foreign Affairs Committee. 13 U.S. service members lost their lives in the final days of the drawdown. Secretary Blinken says the State Department has been in touch with approximately 100 Americans who still want to leave Afghanistan. Supporters of the people charged with the January 6th insurrection are planning a rally in Washington, D.C. this coming Saturday, and intelligence suggests there's the potential for violence. Reporter Skyler Henry is on Capitol Hill with more on what's being done to prevent another attack like the one we saw earlier this year.
U.S. Capitol police officers responded to a suspicious vehicle outside the Democratic Party headquarters on Capitol Hill. They found a truck with swastikas and no license plate. They arrested the driver, a 44-year-old California man, when they found a bayonet and a machete inside. Security is high on Capitol Hill ahead of a planned rally for this Saturday.
Protesters overcome the police
in support of the people arrested for storming the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Intelligence suggests several hundred people, including far-right extremist groups such as the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, are planning to attend. Capitol Police Chief Tom Manger briefed congressional leaders from both parties Monday morning.
They gave us a good briefing. They're handling this in a very professional, thorough way, and I think they're much better prepared than things were before January 6th.
Capitol Police will be able to utilize these newly installed security cameras, which are on loan from the military. The cameras provide a 360-degree view both day and night. They're also bringing back the security fencing, which was put in place in the aftermath of the January 6th attack.
The fence will go up a day or two before, and if everything goes well, it'll come down very soon after.
Meanwhile, court cases against those charged in the assault continue. A grand jury indicted 33-year-old Landon Copeland of Utah. He's facing 11 charges, including 2 counts of assaulting police officers. He's accused of using a piece of metal fencing to attack an officer, as well as those who came to the officer's rescue. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
More than 580 defendants have been arrested and more than 30 have pleaded guilty since January 6th. Charges include assaults on officers, destruction of government property, and conspiracy. Californians who haven't voted early head to the polls tomorrow to decide whether a Republican-charged effort to recall Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom is successful. If voters decide to oust Newsom, there are 46 candidates lined up hoping to replace the top official in the nation's most populous state. President Biden is set to join him for the final hours of his campaign today. Still ahead, a shortage of skilled workers is leading to delays from furniture manufacturers. And next in Health Watch, hospitals across the country see a rise in COVID cases among pregnant women. Topping today's Health Watch, the COVID-19 pandemic is to blame for high levels of anxiety in lung cancer patients, often brought on because treatment was impacted. According to the International Association for the Study of Lung Cancer, nearly a third of lung cancer patients reported having anxiety and distress during the height of the pandemic. Patients battling both lung cancer and depression were nearly 4.5 times more likely to experience delays in their cancer treatment. As the Delta variant surges nationwide, many hospitals are reporting increases in pregnant women admitted with COVID. Doctors are urging pregnant women to get vaccinated. Reporter Tara Molina introduces us to a new mom who wants to get the word out after spending 2 months in the hospital.
Kentrice Anadumaka is enjoying every moment with her son CJ. After contracting COVID-19 at 6.5 months pregnant, she ended up in the ICU.
What was going through my mind was, I pray to God that my husband and my mom could raise my son, because I don't think I'm going to make it out of here.
Kentrice had not been vaccinated.
I wanted to get the vaccine, but I wanted to see how it panned out a little bit more.
Nearly 76% of adults have received at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine, but only 25% of pregnant people. The CDC and other major medical groups have strengthened recommendations that pregnant people get vaccinated.
Pregnant people compared to non-pregnant people have an increased risk when they get SARS-CoV-2 infection of hospitalization, ICU admission, the need for mechanical ventilation, and they have a higher risk of dying.
Northwestern University's Dr. Emily Miller says recommendations were originally not stronger because pregnant patients were excluded from clinical trials.
Scientists around the country have been working tirelessly to fill those gaps, and we're at a point where the medical community really feel like we have the sufficient data to say that this is safe and that we recommend it.
Studies show vaccinated pregnant people can transfer antibodies to their newborns. Kentrice remained in the hospital to get oxygen support until CJ arrived, but was able to get her first shot before he was born.
I wanted him to have as much protection as possible.
CJ was almost a month early and is thriving.
I always said, if I make it out of here, I'm going to share my story, because people need to know that this thing is serious.
She hopes others get the message that getting vaccinated can keep families safe. Tara Molina, CBS News, Chicago.
An analysis of CDC data did not find an increased risk of miscarriage among nearly 2,500 pregnant women who were vaccinated before 20 weeks. A new study looks at how a parent's cancer diagnosis could impact their child. European researchers say 96% of children in their study experienced behavioral changes, including anxiety, struggling academically, and even substance abuse following a parent's diagnosis. Doctors say families should communicate about a diagnosis openly and consider outside resources to help children navigate their emotions. A collective of pharmaceutical and biotech companies is pushing for more plain and accessible language to be used in medical journals. The group, Open Pharma, wants peer reviews on medical research to be more understandable for everyone, including patients and caregivers. Open Pharma says the change would improve transparency and patient care. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, the IRS announces some new tax savings related to COVID testing.
But first, we'll break down our little cool down on the way and incoming rain chances as well. We'll get to it next. We kept things quiet to start this new work week and school week for the kids out, but the temperatures are still running a little hotter than where they should be for the middle part of September. At least we kept things dry in terms of the humidity as we wrapped up yesterday in the weekend too, and even with that resulting in highs in the lower 90s. We dropped back into the mid 60s this morning, back to 93 so far this afternoon. Thankfully, if you're tired of the September heat, I do see our next system with not only just rain chances on the way late tomorrow, certainly going through Wednesday, but a chance to cool down a little bit. Highs in the 80s, sure, it'll be warm, but a break from the 90s during the middle of the week. Then Mother Nature wants the heat to roar right back in as we head toward the coming weekend. So that's what we're keeping an eye on over the next several days. But not much to keep an eye on right now. Mostly sunny skies, looking good from 7th and Range Line. But we're sitting at 93 in Joplin. A south-southwesterly breeze gusting to 25 at times. It's not pumping much in the way of humidity. It's only sitting at 31%, thanks to dew point sitting at 58 degrees. Most of us are in the upper 80s to lower 90s right now, all because of the south breeze still going out of the south-southwest at 5 to 15, and of course the gusts trying to push over 20 miles per hour at times. That means it's going to be warm again this evening, starting out in the upper 80s at 6 o'clock, but we're down to 78 by 10, 76 by midnight, ultimately down to 71 as we head into our Tuesday morning. But as we start heading into Tuesday, that's when we'll keep an eye on changes ready to roll on in. Not seeing anything across the area today, maybe a couple of showers out across southern Oklahoma and central Arkansas because of moisture coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. But this is what we're focusing on. This next frontal system off to the west and northwest, and being drugged this way because of our sinking jet stream, that is definitely going to bring us a break in the 90s for highs and our next chance for rain. So let's break down when we could see the rain at the earliest on the future track forecast. It's not going to be tonight or to start your Tuesday morning out. We'll keep things quiet with overnight lows dropping back into the lower 70s. As we go throughout the day, I think the future track's holding back on cloud cover a bit. I'm expecting partly sunny skies to gradually work back in, and maybe the slimmest chance for a random shower or storm late in the afternoon. But as these two systems start rolling in, we'll see that give us a break from the 90s in terms of tomorrow afternoon's temperature. 71 in the morning, 84 by noon, highs around 89. Then as we go toward Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, you can see how as the front rolls in, there's our best shot for thunderstorms this week. Some of these could be strong with heavy rainfall, but I'm really not seeing a good severe threat, so we're not going to worry about that. But rain chances Tuesday overnight into Wednesday morning, and eventually they'll be tapering off as we head into Wednesday afternoon. So if these rain chances play out like the future track is suggesting, some of us could be fair game to go from maybe 1/10 of an inch to about 1 inch of rainfall, and for some of you we could certainly use that since we need a little bit of rain around here. And we'll certainly take the cooler temperatures, brief cool down, that'll come along for the ride. 89 tomorrow, 85 Wednesday, 88 for Thursday, and not to mention lows in the upper 60s. Dow, that's going to feel nice before, believe it or not, we have to head back into the 90s come this weekend.
Well, I have no trouble believing that, but the lows in the 60s for a couple days, yeah, that'll be welcome.
It will.
Thanks, Nick. The Gulf Coast is bracing for Tropical Storm Nicholas as it barrels toward the Texas coast. Nicholas has 65-mile-an-hour winds, could reach hurricane status as it slams ashore this evening. The storm is expected to drench that area with up to 20 inches of rain, raising the risk of serious flooding in that region. Authorities have put rescue teams and resources along the coast. Coming up, a skilled worker shortage leads to delays in furniture shipments. First, though, we honor a local veteran. Bernard Nichols served in the U.S. Army from 1942 to 1945. The Barnett, Kansas native was stationed in Europe and Africa, and we salute Corporal Bernard Nichols, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, at-home testing for COVID-19 is an eligible medical expense. That's the message from the IRS to taxpayers. The agency sent out the reminder after President Biden announced more workers must be vaccinated or tested weekly. The IRS said that health savings and flexible spending accounts can be tapped to cover the cost. Furniture sales have been on the rise during the pandemic, but a shortage of skilled workers is contributing to unprecedented delays in getting the furniture to customers. Reporter Nikki Batiste takes a look at what the industry is doing to hire workers.
Here at the Mitchell Gold & Bob Williams Furniture Factory in North Carolina, hundreds of craftsmen and craftswomen meticulously sew, trim, and staple. Walking around this floor amid a symphony of staple and nail guns, you see so much of the work is done by hand.
These are called leather pullers.
Hands like Robert Shuford's and upholstery trimmer are invaluable.
What's the one word you would use to describe the furniture industry right now?
I would say it's booming.
All that work is forcing furniture makers to scramble for labor. When tariffs were put in place by the Trump administration, there was new pressure on manufacturers to move production to the U.S. Today, by some estimates, roughly half of upholstered furniture is made in America. When the pandemic hit, people spent more time at home, and furniture sales skyrocketed. There weren't enough skilled laborers to meet the demand. That's why the company started teaching advanced trade skills like sewing and upholstery in-house.
How understaffed are you?
Ideally, we'd like 20% more people working here.
Allison O'Connor, president and CEO of Mitchell Gold & Bob Williams, says the company needs to boost both training and interest in the craft to help fill empty workstations.
We, at times, I think, have lost sight of the importance of really respecting and promoting trade skills. And so for us, that's why we started our own training programs.
A few years ago, the company teamed up with several major retailers to launch a nearby furniture academy. Single mom of 2 young boys, Maria Gonzalez just graduated. Now, as a skilled craftswoman, she says her salary is nearly double what she earned as a furniture inspector.
With this, diploma, you can pretty much get a job anywhere.
The market is so hot right now, one craftsman told me another company tried to steal him away to do upholstery because his hands are so fast. Nikki Batiste, CBS News, New York.
The bidding war for Kansas City Southern Railway is almost over, and the current winner is Canadian Pacific. If regulators sign off on the deal, it means that for the first time ever, a single railroad will connect the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. CP's bid is believed to be worth about $31 billion. Canadian National still has until the end of Friday to submit a better offer. Brace yourself for an even higher grocery bill. Kroger says it plans to hike prices in the latter part of this year. The nation's biggest supermarket chain blamed inflation and says it plans to pass some of those costs on to consumers. Beef prices have already shot up 14% in 2021. Pork is also up double digits, while poultry is up more than 6%. A final check of the forecast up next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on the response by Joplin Police to an armed person at an industrial park. Plus, 2 people are killed in a vehicle accident in northeastern Oklahoma over the weekend. And Pitt State business students get a chance to meet with area companies to learn about internship and job opportunities. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Nick, the weather pretty pleasant at the moment.
Yeah, maybe a bit hot out there, but we're still looking good for this evening as we roll along. Temperatures will ultimately drop back to 71, but once we hit tomorrow, we'll only make it to the upper 80s for highs, mid 80s for Wednesday, but that will come at the expense of thunderstorm chances, which we could certainly use around here. We'll break down the latest on these rain chances and see how much we could get before the system moves out, coming up at 6 now.
Yeah, if we get some rain, a lot of people will be glad to see it, for sure. Thanks, Nick. And thank you for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we'll be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.